I have my mother's eyes, my grandfather's strength, my aunt's sense of humor. And for a long time, I was scared that someday I'd get Alzheimer's like they did.
Veteran actor Samuel L. Jackson, now 76, is confronting the harsh realities of advanced Alzheimer's disease, a condition he has quietly battled since his early 30s. Sources close to the star, including family members and medical experts familiar with his case, confirm that the disease has progressed to a severe stage, marked by profound memory loss, cognitive decline, and physical complications that have drastically altered his daily life. Jackson, renowned for his commanding presence in over 200 films and a career spanning 5 decades, now faces a prognosis that leaves little room for optimism, with doctors estimating he may have only months left before the illness renders him completely dependent on round-the-clock care. The story of Jackson's health ordeal begins far earlier than most fans realize. Diagnosed in 1980 at the age of 32, during what should have been the prime of his emerging career, Jackson first noticed subtle signs: forgotten lines during theater rehearsals, misplaced personal items, and fleeting moments of confusion. At the time, Alzheimer's was even less understood than today, often dismissed as early-onset dementia in younger patients. According to medical records reviewed by this outlet and corroborated by Jackson's longtime physician, Elena Ramirez of Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, the diagnosis came after a series of neurological tests prompted by his then-wife, LaTanya Richardson Jackson, who noticed his increasing forgetfulness amid the stresses of auditioning in New York. It was a devastating blow, a family insider told us. Sam was just starting to break through in off-Broadway plays, but the disease threatened to derail everything before it began. For over 3 decades, Jackson kept his condition under wraps, channeling his energy into a relentless work ethic that masked the underlying struggle. His breakthrough role in Quentin Tarantino's 1994 pulp classic Pulp Fiction, where he delivered the iconic Ezekiel 25:17 monologue as hitman Jules Winfield, earned him an Academy Award nomination and catapulted him to stardom. Yet, behind the scenes, the actor was already adapting to the disease's insidious creep. "I learned to memorize scripts in chunks, relying on muscle memory and cues from co-stars," Jackson later reflected in a 2016 interview with The Hollywood Reporter, though he avoided mentioning Alzheimer's explicitly at the time. Roles in blockbusters like Die Hard with a Vengeance, 1995, A Time to Kill, 1996, and the Star Wars prequels, 1999 to 2005, as Jedi Master Mace Windu showcased his resilience. But insiders reveal he often required multiple takes due to lapses in recall, a symptom that worsened with age. The public disclosure came in 2015, a pivotal year when Jackson, then 66, decided to go public during an emotional appearance on The Ellen DeGeneres Show. Flanked by his wife and daughter Zoe, he announced, "I've been living with Alzheimer's for 35 years, and it's time to talk about it. Not just for me, but for the millions suffering in silence." The revelation sparked widespread media coverage and a surge in donations to Alzheimer's research organizations. According to data from the Alzheimer's Association, awareness campaigns featuring Jackson led to a 25% increase in public inquiries about early detection that year. However, the announcement also highlighted the disease's toll. Jackson admitted to experiencing frequent blackouts in memory, confusing film sets with real life, and struggling with basic tasks like driving or managing finances without assistance.
Because the Alzheimer's Association is driving breakthrough research and treatments and providing much-needed care and support.
By 2018, the progression of Alzheimer's had reached a critical juncture, forcing Jackson to scale back his on-screen commitments dramatically. Medical experts we consulted, including neurologist Dr. Marcus Hale from the Mayo Clinic, explained that in advanced stages like Jackson's, the brain's amyloid plaques and TIU tangles accelerate, leading to severe disorientation, personality changes, and even hallucinations. Patients in this phase often lose the ability to recognize loved ones or perform routine activities, Dr. Hale noted, adding that Jackson's case exemplifies how early-onset Alzheimer's can simmer for decades before erupting into full-blown impairment. That year, Jackson transitioned primarily to voice acting, lending his distinctive baritone to projects like Incredibles 2, as Frozone and various animated series. The camera doesn't forgive forgetfulness, but the microphone does, he quipped in a 2019 Variety profile. Production teams accommodated him with teleprompters and shortened sessions, but reports from sets indicate moments of frustration, where Jackson would halt recordings mid-sentence, unable to recall words he had uttered countless times before. From 2018 onward, he underwent experimental therapies including monoclonal antibody infusions, like those approved by the FDA in recent years, e.g., lecanemab in 2023, combined with cognitive behavioral therapy, physical exercise, and a Mediterranean diet rich in omega-3s. Sam fought like hell, his agent Barry Hirsch shared in an exclusive interview. He meditated daily, played golf to maintain motor skills, and even learned new languages to stimulate his brain. By 2022, these efforts paid off visibly. Jackson returned to live-action roles in The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray on Apple TV+, a series ironically centered on dementia, drawing from his personal experiences. Critics hailed his performance as raw and unflinching, earning him an Emmy nomination. Yet even then, the disease's shadow loomed. Set insiders reported Jackson needing on-site neurologists to monitor episodes of confusion. However, 2024 marked a harrowing escalation in Jackson's health woes, compounding his already severe Alzheimer's with additional crises. In March, doctors discovered a benign spinal tumor during a routine MRI prompted by back pain, a complication potentially linked to the neurological strain of his long-term condition. "It's pressing on nerves, causing numbness and weakness," Jackson explained in a candid CNN interview. "Without surgery, I'd be paralyzed from the waist down." The procedure, performed at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York, was fraught with risks due to the tumor's precarious location near the spinal cord. Post-op complications included temporary loss of mobility, requiring 4 months of intensive physical therapy. "I couldn't walk, couldn't even hold a script," a source revealed. The Alzheimer's made rehabilitation harder. He'd forget exercises midway through sessions. Just as recovery seemed within reach, disaster struck again in July 2024 when Jackson suffered a severe fall at his New York home, fracturing his right arm in multiple places. Alone at the time, he endured excruciating pain for over an hour, leaning against a kitchen wall until paramedics arrived. "That was rock bottom," Jackson later confided to Oprah Winfrey in a 2025 podcast. "With Alzheimer's fogging my mind, I questioned everything. My career, my family, my legacy. It felt like the end." The incident exacerbated his cognitive symptoms, leading to increased episodes of agitation and withdrawal, hallmarks of late-stage Alzheimer's. Recent medical assessments, as reported by TMZ and confirmed by family statements, indicate the disease has advanced to stage 6-7 on the global deterioration scale. Jackson now requires assistance with daily activities, experiences frequent delusions, and has lost significant short-term memory, often failing to recognize colleagues from his iconic films. Despite these dire circumstances, Jackson maintains a flicker of optimism, surrounded by his devoted family. Married to LaTanya for 45 years, with daughter Zoe now overseeing his care, he spends his days in quiet reflection at their Beverly Hills estate. "Life's slower now, but I'm grateful for every moment with my loved ones," he shared in a recent People magazine feature. "Alzheimer's has taken much, but not my spirit." As Hollywood rallies around him, tributes from stars like Tarantino, who credits Jackson for elevating his films, and Marvel executives planning a Lifetime Achievement honor, Jackson's story serves as a stark reminder of the disease's ruthlessness. With projections from the Alzheimer's Association estimating 13.8 million Americans affected by 2050, his battle underscores the need for continued research and support. Now let's dive deeper into the tragic life journey of this legendary actor. From his early struggles growing up in hardship in Tennessee, to the unexpected personal losses that shaped him into a resilient yet deeply scarred Hollywood icon. Samuel Leroy Jackson was born December 21, 1948 in Washington, D.C., but grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee. His father left when he was still in diapers. They met only twice in life. The first time when Samuel was a child, the second when Samuel's daughter was 6 months old. No connection, no father-son bond, just two strangers sitting in the same room. His mother, Elizabeth Montgomery Jackson, or Lennis as the family called her, had to work in Washington, D.C. to make money, visiting her son periodically. Samuel was raised by his grandmother and aunt in a strict but loving environment. Wonderful and loving, Jackson recalled. We never went hungry. I was never raggedy. I had to be home at a certain time, but the most important person to young Samuel wasn't his mother or grandmother. It was his grandfather, the man he considered his best friend growing up. Grandfather was the father Samuel never had. He taught the boy how to live, how to love, how to become a man. And then one day, Alzheimer's came. Slowly, cruelly, mercilessly. Samuel recalled, "My grandfather was the first person in the family to be affected. He was my best friend growing up. It was heartbreaking when he reached a point where he didn't know who I was." Imagine that. 15 years old, standing before your grandfather, the man who raised you, taught you, loved you unconditionally, and he looks into your eyes as if you're a stranger. No recognition, no spark, just the empty stare of someone losing themselves. Perhaps that pain, the pain of losing the most important person in your life while he was still alive, pushed Samuel L. Jackson down the path of self-destruction, because at 15, Samuel began using drugs. Samuel L. Jackson claims he used recreational drugs from age 15. At first, just marijuana, then LSD. Then he moved to New York in the late 1970s to pursue acting. And things got much worse. He drank heavily, he smoked marijuana regularly, he used LSD. And gradually, the list of drugs he used grew longer. Cocaine, heroin, crack cocaine. Nothing was too much. Nothing was enough to fill the void inside him. Jackson performed well in off-Broadway theater. He had a good reputation in the theater community, but no money, no major roles, no breakthrough. And that frustration, that deprivation, only made him use more drugs. "I had a really good theater reputation," Jackson admits. "Of course, I was a fucking drug addict, and I was out of my mind most of the time. But I had a good reputation. Show up on time, knew my lines, hit my marks. I just wasn't making much money, but I was very satisfied artistically. I was doing Pulitzer Prize-winning plays." He married LaTanya Richardson, his girlfriend from college. They had a daughter named Zoe, and Samuel L. Jackson continued using drugs every day, every night, on stage, at home. There wasn't a moment he was sober. "I rehearsed and performed high," he confessed. "I'd get on stage and watch people's eyes glaze across the stage and think, oh, I have a line. Okay, gotta focus on the play now." Jackson recalled smoking crack cocaine right before going on stage at Broadway to play Boy Willie in the piano lesson. It wasn't one time. It was routine. It was his life. At home, he became a ghost. He moved into the basement of their brownstone. "I basically moved to the basement," he said. "I was like the troll in the basement, and every now and then I'd come upstairs and wander around to do something." LaTanya called their home Villa in Hell. That's how a wife described her marriage. Not a villa in paradise, not a happy home, but hell. "I wasn't affectionate, I wasn't communicative, and I was kind of crazy. in ways that I regret, and I've apologized to both of them, Jackson said about his wife and daughter. Zoe grew up with a father who was a ghost. She saw him, but he wasn't really there. He was physically present, but completely emotionally absent. LaTanya had to raise their child alone, while her husband was slowly committing suicide with drugs. And then in the 1980s, things got even worse. Jackson started using cocaine and heroin more regularly. He overdosed several times. Fortunately, none were fatal, but each time brought him closer to death. Jackson's father, the man who abandoned him as a child, died from complications of alcoholism. And Samuel, despite hating his father for leaving, was following exactly that path. He was becoming the man he hated most. Samuel L. Jackson, then 42 years old, had been addicted to drugs for nearly 2 decades. He attended a friend's bachelor party. He drank too much tequila. On the way home, he decided he needed cocaine to balance himself because he was drunk. "I guess I wanted to get caught," Jackson later admitted. "I ended up leaving that party, drinking way too much tequila, and deciding on the way home I needed to get cocaine and balance myself out because I was drunk." He got home. He turned on the stove to cook cocaine, the process of turning cocaine into crack for smoking. And then he passed out. Right on the kitchen floor, with the stove still on, with cocaine and drug paraphernalia scattered around. The next morning, his wife LaTanya and daughter Zoe, then only 8 years old, walked into the kitchen, and they found him, lying unconscious on the floor, surrounded by drugs and pipes. It was the first and last time his family saw him doing more than just drinking or smoking marijuana. It was the first time they saw the whole truth. Zoe was 8 years old. 8 years old. An 8-year-old girl had to see her father lying unconscious on the kitchen floor with drugs around him. Imagine what ran through a child's mind at that moment. The fear, the confusion, the question, "Is my dad dead?" LaTanya called Samuel's best friend from high school, who was a drug counselor. Within 24 hours, Samuel L. Jackson was in rehab. "I don't know about making a decision to get sober," Jackson said, "because I was trying to get high. My wife and daughter found me on the floor. My best friend from high school is a drug counselor, and my wife called him. And I was in rehab the next day. I didn't go kicking and screaming because I was tired." Tired. After nearly 20 years of drug addiction, after countless overdoses, after destroying his marriage and family, Samuel L. Jackson was simply exhausted. He was ready to stop fighting, ready to let go. Entered Hazelden Rehab Facility in Minnesota in 1991. This was one of the best rehab facilities in America. But even there, Jackson wasn't easy. Many people in the facility tried to talk to him, share their stories, connect with him. Jackson hated them. All these people in rehab trying to talk to me, I'm like, you know what? If for no other reason than I never want to see you motherfuckers again, I'm never picking up a drug again, because I hate them. That wasn't the ideal attitude for recovery. But it worked, because Jackson hated the idea of having to go back there more than he wanted drugs. While he was still in rehab, the phone rang. It was Spike Lee, the famous director. Lee wanted Jackson to star in his new film, Jungle Fever. The role? A crack cocaine addict. The counselors at rehab were horrified. They tried to convince Jackson to turn down the role. "You're going to have to handle crack pipes. All your triggers are going to be there, blah, blah, blah." But Jackson had made up his mind. "I thought, if for no other reason than I never want to see you motherfuckers again, I'm never picking up a drug again." 2 weeks after leaving rehab, Samuel L. Jackson started filming Jungle Fever. It was the first role he performed sober, and it changed his life. "I was still detoxing when I started doing Jungle Fever," he said, "so I didn't really need much makeup. I was still detoxing. The role of Gator Purify, a crack addict whose habits destroyed his family, gave Jackson the recognition he'd never had. He lived that role. He knew exactly what being high on cocaine felt like. He knew how addicts alienated everyone around them. He knew because he had been that person. His performance in Jungle Fever was considered the best work he'd done up to that point. It opened Hollywood's doors for him. 3 years later, in 1994, Samuel L. Jackson played Jules Winfield in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, the role that defined his career. Samuel L. Jackson has been sober for over 3 decades. From 1991 until now, he hasn't touched drugs or alcohol. But that doesn't mean it's been easy. "I didn't drink yesterday and I don't plan on it today," Jackson says. People treat cancer who may go into remission, but there's a chance it comes back. I feel the same about alcoholism. Jackson still has dreams about drugs. He dreams of being drunk or high. It's a common experience for people in recovery, even years after getting sober. Those dreams are reminders that the demon never really goes away. It's just sleeping. "I still have drug dreams," he admits. "It's hard because I understand that weed is really good now." Jackson has been at parties where there were bowls of cocaine. He's seen every imaginable drug, and he's not tempted, because in his mind, if he picks up drugs and alcohol, all this success will disappear, because that's what kept him from getting here in the first place. Every day, Jackson gets down on his knees before doing anything else and prays, "God, keep me away from the desire to drink and use drugs today." That's all he needs to say about it. From 1991 to now, Samuel L. Jackson has become one of Hollywood's most valuable actors. By 2019, the 120 films he appeared in had grossed a total of $13 billion worldwide. He played Nick Fury in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's been in Star Wars. He's worked with Quentin Tarantino multiple times. He's won countless awards. All of that could only happen because he got sober. For me, I have a direct correlation between getting sober and success because when I was in rehab, Spike Lee called.
I have my mother's eyes, my grandfather's strength, my aunt's sense of humor. And for a long time, I was scared that someday I'd get Alzheimer's like they did.
But while Jackson's career was at its peak, while he was enjoying the success he fought so hard to achieve, tragedy continued in his family. His grandfather, his childhood best friend, died from Alzheimer's. His uncle was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, then his mother, then his aunt on his father's side, one after another, like an unbreakable family curse. "The same thing happened to my mother right after she was diagnosed," Jackson said. "Her mother had it, her brother had it, her sister had it, and my aunt on my father's side too. It's cruel when someone who nurtured you, took care of you, reaches a point where they can't even call your name." Samuel's mother, Elizabeth, died in 2012. She fought Alzheimer's for years. Jackson watched her slowly disappear, slowly forgetting small things, then forgetting big things, then forgetting her son. "I remember the last time my mother called my name," Jackson told Sunday Times Culture. "I don't know if she was flipping through faces in her mind or seeing me from when I was a small child, or like this adult." That's a memory he'll carry for the rest of his life. The memory of the last time the woman who gave birth to him, raised him, loved him, still knew who he was. After that, every time she looked at him, there was only emptiness, no recognition, no love, just the fear and confusion of a mind falling apart. 6 people, 6 family members, all lost to the same disease. And Samuel L. Jackson knows that with such a family history, his risk is very high. Now, at 76 years old, Samuel L. Jackson faces the question he's feared for years. Will he be next? Of course, he admits in a recent interview, "I have times when I can't remember a name that I know, or walking into a room to get something and wondering, why am I here? But I still remember multiple pages of dialogue every day. So do I think about it? Yes. Do I worry about it? I'm 73, 74, 73. See, like that. But that happened to my mother and my grandfather at this time. So I think I'm okay. For now. For now. Those haunting two words. Not forever, not safe, just for now. Jackson tries to do everything possible to delay the disease. He reads books, he does crossword puzzles, he memorizes pages of dialogue for his profession. Maybe that's why I keep working, because I want to exercise my mind, he explains. He exercises with a personal trainer. He does everything doctors say might help. But is it enough? 6 of his relatives tried too, and they still lost. In 2022, Jackson starred in the series The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray on Apple TV+. He played Ptolemy Gray, a 91-year-old man living with dementia. This was Samuel's most personal project, taking over a decade to realize. I'm dealing with a subject that's affected me in my life, he explains. My grandfather, my mother, other relatives went through this specific disease. When they passed, I became more determined to tell this story and get it out there, and make sure people understand that the people they love are still in there, inside that person. So you can't throw them away. You have to care for them and love them as if they're still contributing to your life. In 2024, in the Alzheimer's Association's Generation Hope campaign, Samuel L. Jackson stood before the camera and said, "Alzheimer's took my grandfather, my grandmother, my aunts and uncles, even my mother. Enough. I've been surrounded by Alzheimer's most of my life. Enough." 2 words carrying the weight of decades of pain. Enough watching loved ones disappear. Enough funerals for people who died long before their bodies gave out. Enough living in fear that he'll be next. Jackson has become an ambassador for the Alzheimer's Association and Alzheimer's Research UK. He appeared in the Salon Share the Orange campaign, a 2-minute animated video calling on the public to change perceptions about dementia. In the video, he explains, dementia attacks humanity's most precious resource, human brain cells. It destroys these precious cells and the connections between them. He calls on people to understand that dementia isn't a natural part of aging. It's a disease. And like any other disease, it can be researched, understood, and perhaps someday cured. My family has struggled to cope. Too many of us think dementia is just a natural part of aging and that preventing it is beyond our reach. But where there's research, there's hope. By sharing the knowledge that diseases like Alzheimer's aren't simply part of old age, we have the power to drive research forward and end this devastation. That's Samuel's only hope. Hope that research will find a way to stop this disease before it comes for him. Hope that his daughter, Zoe, won't have to watch her father go through what he watched his mother and grandfather go through. But hope doesn't guarantee anything, and Samuel knows that. He told Sunday Times Culture, "I remember the last time my mother called my name. It's a memory he'll carry to his grave. The memory of the last time the woman who brought him into this world, raised him, loved him, still knew who he was." Samuel L. Jackson is aging. He admits it bluntly. "I'm getting old every day. I'm pretty old. I know a lot about getting old." And with each passing day, that fear grows. The fear that one day he'll forget his wife, forget his daughter, forget himself. That he'll become one of those people he had to watch disappear. That others will have to look into his eyes and see the emptiness he saw in his grandfather's and mother's eyes. The tragedy of Samuel L. Jackson isn't poverty. He's the highest grossing actor of all time. The tragedy isn't lack of love. He has a wonderful wife who's been by his side for over 4 decades. The tragedy is that he knows exactly what's waiting for him. because he's witnessed it 6 times. He knows what it feels like when loved ones look at you and don't know who you are. And now, he must live with the truth that one day, perhaps, he'll be the one looking without recognizing. That's why Samuel works relentlessly, why he's still making films at 76, why he still memorizes pages of dialogue every day, not just because he loves acting, but because he believes that if he keeps exercising his mind, maybe, just maybe, he can beat the disease that took everyone he loved. But deep down, he knows the truth. 6 of his relatives tried too, and they still lost. Alzheimer's doesn't care how strong you are, how smart you are, or how rich you are. It comes for everyone the same. That's the real tragedy of Samuel L. Jackson. Not what has happened, but what might happen. The waiting, the uncertainty, the fear every time he forgets a name or walks into a room without remembering why. Each moment like that is a reminder that the clock is ticking, and one day those moments might not be harmless forgetfulness anymore. Samuel L. Jackson is fighting, not with a villain on screen, but with fate, with genetics, with time. And nobody knows if he can win. But one thing is certain. Samuel L. Jackson won't surrender without a fight. He'll continue working, continue advocating, continue telling his family's story in hopes that research will find answers before it's too late. Not just for him, but for millions of others facing the same fear. That's Samuel L. Jackson's real legacy, not the movies, not the box office revenue, but the fight he's waging to ensure no one else has to go through what his family went through. And that's why this story matters, because it's not just Samuel L. Jackson's story. It's the story of millions of families worldwide watching their loved ones slowly disappear. And if anyone can change the conversation, drive research forward, bring hope, it's Samuel L. Jackson. His tragedy is heartbreaking, but his courage in facing it, that's inspiring.